Hello everyone and welcome back to the final part of Metroid Dread. I have loaded up a 100% complete save file, and it is time to end. It's time to take down the dastardly Raven Beak. Let's do it. It's time for Samus's and my journey to finally end.
Uploading data.
It appears your Metroid DNA has caused you to become a Metroid. Ordinarily, this would have happened immediately after the DNA transplant. Your Thoha genes must have slowed down the process. They were the only tribe capable of controlling the Metroids. Though you possess their DNA, you are not a Thoha. Your physical prowess suggests that you must also possess Machin DNA. Metroids are programmed to identify Machin as enemies. This suggests one thing to me. It is very probable that your metamorphosis occurred as a result of Raven Beak's attack. His presence awakened the Metroid's killer instinct. Since then, your metamorphosis has accelerated. It can no longer be controlled. You are now a Metroid, Samus Aran. Your very existence poses a grave threat to the galaxy. However, there is no need to fear. You can still contribute to galactic peace. You need only use your new powers correctly. You have followed my instructions faithfully so far. Continue to do so. It's that simple. I consider your performance here on ZDR highly satisfactory. As I hoped, it has even awakened your Metroid powers. I was right to let you live during our first encounter. That one glimpse you showed told me everything. Submit and offer up your power. My plan is the only way to bring order to the galaxy. Fulfill your destiny, Samus. This is an order. Disobedience will not be tolerated.
Daughter, huh? So here we go, nice father-daughter reunion here. So I guess all my warrior DNA for the Chozo actually came from this guy, huh? Again, what a nice, deeply personal way to end this entire thing. Alright, so he's gonna be very difficult, so I'm gonna try to focus up a good bit here. So go ahead and take you down with ice missiles when that happens. In general, you want to make sure you're not too freaking close to him. Oh! Counter in so we can get this little scene. But now he's glowing golden, which I believe means that pretty much no attack is going to hurt him. So we can only actually hurt him with counters now. So when I alluded to other enemies that you would have to counter in order to hurt, Raven Beak was one of them. Oh, I should have fired right there. I thought there was going to be another counter coming in. That'll be fine. First time I fought this guy, I did have quite a few issues. Going like this. There we go. He gets that golden aura off so we can actually damage, and that's the one where you actually have to counter twice, so I got that one confused. Boy, that is a lot of hits. And I do like how this is pretty much like a 1v1 duel of Chozo tech. Because Ravenbeak pretty much has all the abilities we have because he has the same suit that we have. I mean, his race created the freaking suit. Of course, they're going to be all about it. Oh, and that's not the dodge one. Oh, I thought that was the one where you had to duck in order to dodge it, but nope. Should have done the counter right there. Yeah, no use in wasting any missiles on this. Gonna Tommy again. Runs the double. Getting a few more hits. Love this dynamic action right here. The one-on-one duel. The Chozo child versus the creator, however you want to put it. And that's phase 1. This is a Mercury Steam we're talking about. You knew this was going to be multi-phase. And it looks like you bleed after all. Oh ho ho! So the Chozo did still have their wings. At least the war ones did. Okay, so a little bit more difficult here. And in a lot of ways, it'll be easier just to rip into him with the wave beam for this one. The wave plus plasma beam? I'm used to just kind of referring to it as the plasma beam, but we got it as the wave beam finally, so. I found that it's nice to just kind of jump around him with the space jump, but then let loose on a fully charged wave beam shot whenever that happens. But I do still have missiles, so I need to be taking advantage of them here. Oh, that's the big one. That's the fire in my laser blast right there. Okay, get back to this. He is very mobile in this one, and he has pretty fast fingers. Just like so many other things in this game, pattern recognition. Get out of the way there. I had to try him quite a few times whenever I played this the first time, especially on my hard mode run. It just took quite a bit of doing. We're doing really good so far. I've taken very few hits. But he is a damage sponge, just like most of the bosses that are kind of in the late game. Dodging here. Whew. Don't really have a lot more to say. It's just kind of the same attacks over and over until he finally goes down. He goes down until he finally goes to sleep. There we go. One final phase. Lost one of your wings? Jesus, that's hardcore. Just gonna rip it off, huh? Don't need it anymore? Oh, and what is that? That's the speed booster. He has a speed booster, everyone. He's gonna shine spark. And we all know how devastating that one can be. So he fires off the sun attack, and only a power bomb can take that down, I think. So it's really good that I have, like, all the power bombs, that I have 15 of them. I don't know if that actually does damage to him, necessarily, but it's also a good way to get resources back. Oh, should have done the melee attack right there. I don't know, I always kind of resort to doing melee attacks. Or, just, like, dodging the attacks instead of, like, going for the melee counter. And I don't think there's a part in the third phase here where you actually, like, have to melee in order to, do any damage. No, you don't. Stay away. Oh, boy, yeah, he's gonna hunt you down on this phase. Jesus Christ. Oh, that's the shine spark. Oh, no. Don't want to get hit by that. Okay, that was another melee. Let's see if I can just get through the battle without worrying about that, I suppose. Nope, power bomb. Dude, I love the effect that the power bomb has in this game, too. It's freaking awesome. Okay, it's gonna be that one. Oh. Yeah, once you played it a few times and you really get it down, pretty much only the shine spark is tough to dodge. Boy, he did like an entire energy tank's worth of damage with that, too. Let's go all the way up here. I need to try to get at least one of the melee counters in, that's for sure. Yeah, man, like every attack does about an energy tank worth of damage. Don't know why I would expect anything less. You down again. I got plenty more where that comes from, dude. Is that it? Come here. Oh my god. Cross between Ravenbeak and Kraid, so I guess this X, like, got Kraid at some point. We're using our very newfound suit. The Metroid suit. And some variation of the Hyper Beam, I guess this is. You don't stand a chance. And not even giving the little X any time to breathe, huh, Samus? I don't blame you after all the crap you've been through. God, check out this suit, the Metroid suit. God, it's ugly. It's one of the ugliest suits of all time. Some people, like, seem to love this suit. I can't really stand it, to be honest, but... Oh, is this the right way? Is this where we're going? Yeah, we're going up here. So, of course, because it is a Metroid game, we gotta end it with a chase sequence. Not chase sequence. A timer sequence. But we do have, like, the Hyper Beam here, so I really like that. It breaks everything. This is like a giant FU laser. It's freaking fantastic. And if I could just stop fumbling for a little bit here. But like other chase sequence kind of in the modern day, like this, I don't know why I'm saying chase sequence exactly. It's not freaking chase sequence. It's just like a timer sequence. It's pretty easy. It's just kind of a victory lap at this point. Of course, going into an enemy room and just freaking wrecking it is even more cathartic than it was just absorbing the power bomb Emmy with no trouble whatsoever. So. Yeah, for this one, it's pretty much just going all over the place. I do think we need a power bomb for some of this. No, I think like the Hyper Beam is able to go through like any block at this point. I don't think it even matters. Like I think like pretty much yeah, I could do all of it. Yeah, check that out. We're just gonna follow all of this. I'm pretty sure there's only like one way you can actually physically go, so it's not like you can get lost or anything like that. So we're just gonna keep going through it and firing the beam and everything. But I will say, I do wish like the traditional timer music was going right now. Like the that thing. Too bad it's not. Maybe it is and I just can't hear it. Maybe it's a remix? Let me listen to it. I don't know, I can't really hear it because everything's blowing up. Don't really give me an opportunity to really listen to the music exactly, but I think it would have been cool if that would come back at the very least. But hey, splitting hairs, being picky. Oh, 1 minute left. Getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there. But here we go. This is the last door. And our ship. Oh boy, it took long enough. Or it should be here. Where's my ship? Hey, where is it? Get here! I gotta get off this planet. It's not a Metroid game if a planet doesn't explode at the very end. Should be almost here. The one goal we've been working towards. There it is. Oh, at long last.
So, you drain the ship of its energy.
we go, the end of Metroid Dread. Boy, quite a few things to talk about. First off, the twist that Adam, throughout the entirety of the game, was actually Ravenbeak. Samus didn't talk to Adam for the entirety of the game except at the very beginning and the very end. I'll admit I did not pick up on it the first time I played. There's a telltale sign at the beginning. Of course, Adam calls her lady. Any objections, lady? You know, the classic line coming from Fusion, another M. And throughout the entirety of the rest of the game, Adam never calls her lady. A telltale sign that it's not the real Adam. Absolutely love that twist. I didn't see it coming, man. I usually see these type of things coming in video games. Did not see that one coming whatsoever. Really like the twist towards the end that, you know, Metroids apparently have the ability to, like, if their DNA is injected into a host, to, like, turn them into a Metroid, and Samus's DNA was the only thing that prevented that from happening. That's pretty cool. But at the end of the day, because she was subjected to so much trauma, That's what caused her Metroid DNA to awaken in the first place and give her Metroid powers, but also turned her suit into like that weird freaky Metroid suit, which is kind of crazy. Complete with the Hyper Beam and everything? Was that the Hyper Beam? Because, you know, the baby Metroid somehow bestowed the Hyper Beam upon her in Super, so was that something that was similar to the Hyper Beam? I don't really know, but still love the way that she took out that final abomination of the Kraid and the X and Ravenbeak, putting the X out of their misery forever. They will torment the galaxy no more. And then the last little bit there, I don't really know what to think of that. With Quiet Robe, because we saw him get possessed by an X earlier in the game, and he's the one that turned the Emmys back on, but it's kind of weird that he didn't turn into some like freakish abomination when that happened. So I guess because like Quiet Robe and the what was the Toha? I think it was the Toha race of the Chozos had the ability to control the Metroids. I guess maybe they're very resilient to parasitic life forms or something like that. So maybe his race was inherently more resilient to the X and he was able to control them a little bit more. Which is why I guess he waited on Samus' ship. Although I wonder how Adam even let him in, because I don't think Adam would have done that exactly, but I don't know, maybe Adam kind of understood what was going on. Not quite sure what happened there. But my theory is the Quiet Robe was still able to maintain a good bit of control over himself, despite being possessed by an X, and at the end he knew he would have to somehow have Samus absorb an X to turn her not into the Metroid suit? Don't really know how that works exactly, but at the end of the day, I think that this game was a fantastic bookend to the Metroid series, especially kind of the core 2D series, the core 2D story that has been going on since the 80s, and it was really, really good to see that to fruition. A lot of people, including myself, never thought we would get any type of story sequel to Metroid Fusion, so to have it be Metroid Dread, a game that was not only so satisfying from a gameplay perspective, but also a story perspective, was really a treat, man. I mean, it was nearly 20 years. Wasn't it actually 20 years between Fusion and Dread? I think it wasn't quite 20 between Zero Mission and Dread, but man, since the story's continued, yeah, it's been 20 years. When Fusion came out, I was like 7 or 8, 6, something like that. Like, that's crazy that we got a continuation all these years later. So as for like my final opinion about Metroid Dread, I just have to say in its entirety, I think it's a fantastic game. I alluded to it earlier, but in my hierarchy of Metroid rankings, I already said 2D-wise, it's probably my second favorite just behind Super. And honestly, guys, I think throughout the entirety of the series, it's probably still number 2. I think it beats out Metroid Prime 1. If I'm being brutally honest with you, just because I've always kind of enjoyed the 2D side of Metroid just a little bit more. So when I was thinking about it, I thought, yeah, I think it really does beat out all those 2D games. I like it better than the Prime trilogy, I like it better than other M's, so I think throughout the hierarchy of all Metroid games, yeah, my top 3 probably is Super, Metroid Dread, and then maybe a tie between Zero Mission and Prime 1. I'd have to think about that a little bit more. Although I've had plenty of time to think about that, so you think I'd have a more concrete answer for you. My answer is probably whichever one I've played the most recently, honestly. But I think it's really impressive that Dread coming out with so many expectations on top of it, and so much time in between games, was able to really come in and be as solid as it was. And it makes me so happy as a Metroid fan to finally have some optimism going forward with this series, because they nailed it, and people seem to really resonate. It seemed to really resonate with people. It did great sales-wise, so for the first time in a very long time, the future of Metroid is actually really bright. And that makes me more happy than you could possibly imagine. Looking good, Samus. So Metroid Dread actually does kind of break tradition right here, and it's going to say, yeah, 8 hours and 45 minutes because this is my master save file here. The actual playthrough that you guys just watched was probably, yeah, about 3 hours and 30 minutes actually. So Dread actually breaks tradition a little bit in the way that you don't get the same reward at the end for doing like a speed run or a completion run necessarily. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my hard mode file right here. I'm going to show you guys off all the extras that you can get by getting 100% in the game and then doing speed runs of the game in both normal and hard mode. So for doing 100% completion, you unlock the Chozo Archives, which was the same thing you could unlock back in Samus Returns. And this kind of gives you some backstory to a lot of things that happened before the game here. So you can see right here that's the first Emmy being absolutely demolished by Ravenbeak. Yeah, he was the one that messed it up so much, as if it wasn't that obvious to begin with. We have right here, it looks like the Mockin tribe actually subjugating Kraid right here, or the Kraid clone as I think it would be. Don't really know why they brought him back, but we do know that they were doing genetic experiments on a lot of life forms from ZDR, so maybe the Kraid race was unfortunately another casualty of that. Right here we have Quiet Robe doing something. I believe that was like that thing that was harassing us the entire game, the one that could turn invisible at first and was later possessed by the X. I'm guessing the Quiet Robe was actually coerced into doing a whole lot of that. He didn't really want to, but I mean, these were the last few of his tribe, of his race, of his species that were still alive, so maybe he felt obligated. Right here, it looks like any dissenters of the Mockin were fed something right here. Ravenbeak really did not have any patience for anyone who did not agree with his absolute worship of power. It is nice to see the Chozo there without any armor, though. Yep, they are featherless birds for sure, or wingless birds, rather. And it looks like right here is just the Mockin tribe kind of displaying its dominance over the local wildlife. That seems to be, what was that, Gavorian, I think it was? That part of ZDR? And looks like this is when Ravenbeak is witnessing all of his soldiers being possessed by the X. Quiet Robe seemed to indicate that he somehow managed to lock them all away. Not quite sure how he managed to do that without getting possessed by an X himself, but something tells me he didn't really mind that he lost a lot of soldiers to the X. They were probably more powerful that way. And here, this must have led up directly to the beginning of the game, when he's looking at the Emmy that they're sending over here, and he's thinking, these things are going to be perfect to extract that DNA from Samus, or push her to the point to where she becomes a Metroid in and of herself, and I'm able to use her that way. I really like how you can see Samus's portrait in one of those things just to the left of the Emmy as well, so you can tell what they were cooking up right there. And not quite sure what that is. I'm guessing that's kind of the golden Chozo warrior that we fought at the very end? Don't know if that was pre-X possession or not, but I guess it just shows that the Mockin tribe were a very proud sect of the Chozo. And right here, if you get 100% completion, I believe you get this incredible artwork right here, where we have Samus posing with Adam and the baby Metroid, and then a suite of all the most popular villains throughout the history of Metroid. Mother Brain, we got the Emmy, we got the regular Metroids, the Space Pirates, the Queen Metroid, Kraid, Ridley, who is nowhere to be seen in this game, very ballsy move, and of course, Ravenbeak. But if you want to do the speedrunning rewards right here, you get something that I think is even more cooler and more of a love letter to the series. It's a nice piece of artwork for every main core series entry in the 2D side of the series. So right here, we have Metroid Zero Mission, which I played back in 2013 as the first game ever on my channel because I love the Metroid series so much. I played Zero Mission because it was really easy to emulate on the PC, and all I had was just a rickety old PC at the time, but I had a really good time even if that playthrough is super cringy at this point. But hey, everyone has to start somewhere, so I don't really regret anything at all. We have Metroid Samus Returns, a game that I actually played this year in 2021, but I played the game that this was a remake of, Metroid 2 Return of Samus, also back in 2013, immediately following Zero Mission. I thought this one was really good too, and I was happy with how this playthrough turned out. My mind was kind of on other things at the time, so maybe it wasn't as good as my other Metroid playthroughs, but I'm still really glad that I got to get the remake on there, because I was nervous about being able to emulate 3DS games for so long, but hey, I finally pulled it off eventually, it just took a while. Here we have Super Metroid. I played this one last year as well, 2020, so fairly recently. I would have played this one a lot sooner if I had thought, I don't know, I just always kind of pictured in my mind that because this is one of my favorite games of all time and my favorite in the series, that I would just kind of put it off until I had a bigger audience. That audience never really materialized. I wanted to play it as early as like 2013, 2014. Never really happened, but I'm happy I was able to speedrun that in under 3 hours with 100% completion. I really like patting myself on the back for that one. Here is Metroid Other M. I played this one back in 2019, I believe it was, yeah. This is another one I held off on for a while because I have a lot to say about the game. I have a lot of controversial opinions, you could say. I'd rather enjoy it, and I'm really happy with this playthrough. It's probably my favorite that I did in all of YouTube, all of online. Just because I feel like, I really fleshed out my opinions and I explained myself pretty well for why I don't think the game deserves the hate that it gets. I did get some pushback, some people very passionately disagreed with me, but I'm very happy that I was able to get my opinions out there, that I was able to play the game well, and maybe open some people's minds, maybe present a different side to the story that isn't really told with this game too often. I don't know, but either way, I still had a blast finally being able to play that. And here we have Metroid Fusion. I played this one back in 2015. This one was kind of hard because I wanted to get back to the Metroid series, but still the only thing I really had to record on at the time was a rickety old laptop. So I really jumped whenever it became available on the Wii U Virtual Console, because that means I didn't have to emulate it on a freaking laptop. I still really hadn't figured out all my audio balancing stuff back then, so it's kind of difficult to watch these days, but I'm really glad that I got Fusion in. You know, it was kind of difficult to really finish it up because that's back when I was playing a lot of other games at the same time. I think I was playing Walking Dead and Catherine at the same time, so I was kind of forcing myself to juggle a lot of things because I thought it would appeal to more people, but in hindsight, I probably should have just focused on Fusion and done a better job with it, but hey, it is what it is. And we have Metroid Dread, the latest entry in the franchise, of course the game that I just finished up, and the one that kind of ties all of this together. Fantastic game. And for getting all those, we get another version of this epic artwork, this time with Samus in her Zero Suit, looking as good as ever. So we don't really get a traditional Zero Suit ending, but we get this very nice piece of artwork, I gotta say. So it's really good just to see everything kind of laid out right here, and I am going to be a little petty here. Yes, what is not here, guys? The Prime Trilogy is not here because it is kind of a side story when compared to the 2D stories. It's just not very important. And what is here? Metroid Other M, so I hope we can put to rest this notion that Sakamoto and somehow Nintendo were embarrassed of it and consider it non-canon. No, it's here. You can think of what you want to think of for the game, but it's most definitely canon, and a lot of games after it took inspiration. The two that did come after it took inspiration, so I don't think it's as big of a blight on the series as some people might think. That's all I'm gonna say. But that is it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This is the last playthrough I will be doing on YouTube. Well, I say that, but that's not a for sure statement. Nothing in life is 100%. There may come a time when I do find myself in a mental state to where I do need, like, the comfort and reassurance and just something to do, like my mindset was back in 2013 when I did play Zero Mission for the first time. That was a very difficult point in my life, and the channel really helped me out with that. So, I'm not going to say that I'm going to be immune to a mindset like that going forward. So there very well may be a time in the future when I come back to Virgo a Go-Go, and I have to do something again just to keep me sane, but for right now, I'm in a very good place, and I'm very happy with how I'm ending everything out. Kind of ending it where I began and on a very high note. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really, really appreciate it if you've gotten to the very end right here. I know not a ton of people have stuck with me through the years for one way or for one reason or another, but I appreciate that at the very end right here, you know, for my final journey here and for Samus's final journey as well, you were able to join all of us. So my heart goes out to you, and I just really, really appreciate it. But that is pretty much all I have to say, guys. Of course, I'm going to end this in the traditional way that I end it. I'd be remiss if I didn't do my little music thing at the end, but that's all I got. Thank you so much, everyone. And for good this time, this is Virgo, signing off.